Good evening and welcome to the Evening Review. My name is Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters. Let's take a look at the newspaper for today. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another episode of the Evening Review. My name is Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters, and joining me in studio is Mr. Olsen Kahiriri. Welcome to our studio.
Thanks for having us in these busy Corona days.
Okay. Now, to start off with, you were part of the Economic Freedom Fighters. They recently, with the 2019 elections, they won 2 seats in Parliament. Do you regret leaving the party given now where they stand?
No. You see, you must understand, in life, the word lead is putting the first step to move forward. This is what is required in leadership. Now, in leadership, you ought or required to be innovative and create things that will be pregnant to give birth to big organizations. Now, in any setup, you must understand that there's what we call founding fathers, people who craft and create new nations, new organizations, new, being it social, political, business, or whatever. So if you happen to be a leader, you create an environment or a setup that will give birth to a giant. So your ideas is actually to create. But one thing that you must understand as a leader in life, we are born to be leaders, but a leader, what is required from a leader is to make yourself replaceable, absent. And you only become a successful leader when you are out, not when you are present.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when you are at your house. You are a good leader when you leave your children and family doing what they are required to do in your absence. So when you start an organization, when you leave and you see it flourishing, then you have done a good job, because you were working the grounds, and the grounds have given birth to a seat that others are sitting or reaping from. So me leaving the organization that I have started, that I have built and put on the map of politics, because you must understand, when NEF came is when the young people actively started getting involved into politics. And how many of them do you see today? So they have been, they've been attracted. They've been attracted to the culture of the politics that we have been advocating back then in 2014. So you would see a lot of leftist young people's movement that are in the scene. So that's why you would see NEF being in politics or in parliament at this moment in time, having 2 seats. And you must be careful what this organization has been doing, because they don't have votes in certain constituency.
Mm-hmm.
They have votes scattered all over the country. So everywhere there's a seed being planted. And if this seed ought to grow, it will become a big movement.
Okay.
So we have to look at anything in the world does not start with 1,000. It starts with 1.
Okay.
You must start from 0 to have something.
And then I want to move on and ask, what led to the formation of NEF, and now you having left the party, do you still stand by those ethos?
Very much. For those who
take us through the formation first.
For those who know me in the social rounds, they would also always know that I have the culture of the left within myself,
mm-hmm.
because NEF is a party that advocates for social change, be it in the aspect of the economic emancipation of the Namibians, the black people within the context of Namibia, of which we already know that the capital is not in the hands of the black people. We attained economic, political freedom in 1990.
Yeah.
But today, it's just the right to vote, the right to run the country, but who owns the resources? So that's the social change. And this social change is given birth from where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a trade union background. And trade union speaks of social freedom, economic freedom in the hands of the working class. Because you cannot you can't say you are free and all the means of production are in the hands of the bourgeoisie, the elites. So that advocacy speaks of the aspect of the class struggle that we have. We have a class struggle, we can't run away from it.
Mm-hmm.
It is about us and them, the poor and the rich, the have and the have-nots, the working class and the employers. It's simply that. Those who eat first and those that have been given the chicken bones, the leftovers, are the peasants, the working class, the sufferers. These are the people that we thought should have a voice. And that's where you ask the question how the formation came in. So we came together and realized that we need to speak an African voice where our resources be returned to the black people. So that's where NEF come, motivated by other Africans that are also advocating for the resources to return to their people.
Okay.
Because we cannot isolatedly speak about economic emancipation only in Namibia. We speak about it in Africa. But when you look at our presidents across Africa, just yesterday, when they were talking about African Day, Pan-Africanism, they only speak about these issues when a day arrives. But they don't speak, they don't walk the talk, they just speak. You cannot say that the country is politically independent, but the land is with the bourgeoisies.
Okay. And then at the formation of NEF, I remember in 2014 there was talk of behind the campaigning of NEF, there was talk of a multi-billion-dollar funding that was promised to the party. Can you provide context where there was talk of the party investing back into the country?
Yeah, such discussion, I think it will be relevant that you ask to the political party itself, because
you were there.
One thing that you must understand is when you speak on behalf of an organization, you have the mandate to do that.
Okay.
But when you do not have that mandate, sometimes you must understand that when you have part ways with organizations, there are certain protocols that you must not engage into.
Okay.
Understood. Because that is within the confinements of the party. And then every relationship that you have been with, every ex-girlfriend of yours should not be spotted into the public and been talked as a bad person. Not necessarily. Because wherever you have left, be it in an employment circle or whatever relationship, be it as a friend, you cannot go out and badmouth a friend.
Okay.
That characters you should not carry around. But the philosophy of the party itself, because organizations are run by characters within the movements, when I left, realized that those characters have lost the values. They are not there. They are not there.
Okay. And then from NEF, you resurfaced at the Popular Democratic Movement. What prompted the change from NEF now to PDM?
Yeah, you see, you must understand when you speak about politics. When I left NEF, when I went to PDM, there was a call for a new social movement within PDM. There was an outcry of the rebranding, the change of the organization, and I found it very interesting for me to be part and parcel of a new dimension of politics that is coming within a country. Has been promised by those who wanted to author the movement in a new brand. When I joined the political movement, I realized that the branding was just a face. Behind the scene is the old structure of the old politics. You cannot call yourself a transform movement, yet you are carrying the baton of the history. Because I thought the movement would bring young people that are advocating for economic emancipation. Is the PDM speaking about economic emancipation? When last did they speak about it? I don't know. If you look into their own manifesto, are they seriously speaking of the land returned to the blacks, the poor people? I don't think so. So I thought, me in shifting into such a movement, it will bring a new diverse politics of a right-wing politics with a left-wing politics that will bring a new change into politics. But at the end of the day, when I came in, maybe behind the scene, I've been seen by those who were loyalists to the party that, wait a minute, our support base is the class, the elites. Would this new politician within the framework of the party not come and mix things and advocate more on changes that would eventually affect those that are the loyalists within the party? So those becomes the internal squabble or fights within the structures. So then I realized that the administration of the party itself was not to my desire, because there were a lot of infights, there were a lot of differences. That leadership style that I found there was the Idi Amin type of leadership, of which things are surrounded and centered against an ornament put in front of everybody, and everybody should follow that. That's not the kind of politics that I play. But unfortunately in life, those are the decisions you make in life. You learn the hard way. But unfortunately, if you have entered something and you are not happy about it, you leave.
So then these talks of you wrecking the party's vehicle and that leading to your dismissal from that party, could you care to put that into perspective?
No, I was never dismissed.
You were never dismissed?
There were never charges against me. There was nothing. It was just when you lose a girlfriend, when you're about to lose a girlfriend, she will tell you of funny things that you have never done. So if that was in an agenda, they can already share it with you, but it is nothing.
Okay.
But people can twist things, but sometimes you don't fight battles that are unnecessary. You see, I've classified myself as politicians who have made a stand within the political norms of this country. So I cannot react to every dog that barks in the ground.
Okay.
So whatever statement which was said, for me sometimes it's unnecessary to comment on things that does not make sense. But after I left, what I was fearing was in court. There's still a court date that is coming. So I knew what was happening. But the problem with our people is we fear to speak out. And when those that speaks out stands there on the ground, there won't be support. But at the later stage, you start realizing that, wait a minute, this person has already realized where we are heading, the trouble that we are entering. This has nothing to do with wrecking of cars or whatever it was called and what. Autocratic leadership is what we are saying the ruling party is doing. But at the end of the day, look at all these small political parties. Leaders are there for 20 years. There's no transformation process. Constitutions are created to favor those that are in power, to be in power. Some of them cannot even read a document, but they are presidents. But the young people now are hungry. You saw the last election. Young people are hungry. They ran behind Itula. Why? Itula, to me, Itula was not the best candidate for everybody to run for. But the people were out of options. And the only options that was there is Itula. It doesn't say the guy is a politician. Just even put it on record. What type of a politician is Itula? Unknown. It's not a character. But at the end of the day, it tells you that the people, the young people are hungry for leadership. But we don't find the type of leadership in this country. The type of leadership that stands up and say, this is wrong and it must be changed. Those, unfortunately, in today's politics, have been outmastered in the system. You know why? Because they use the carrot. They pay people surrounding you to work you out. People only work people out that are a threat to the future. But unfortunately, most political parties in this country are in bed with the ruling party. If they are told that on the list of your candidates that are going to parliament or who are standing in councillors' portfolios and what, if I don't like Pietrus Johannes Jacobus Martin, then you must remove him instead for us to have a leverage to work together. Why would someone tell you that? Because they see the threat in that person. We have useless leaders in this country holding on to positions because they are using this manipulative system of trying to run a country with the failed people who have failed this country for 30 years.
Okay. Now, with these political views, or with these views of you saying now that you're seeing these problems within these political parties, where to for you politically? And does this make you a political nomad?
Let me tell you one thing. From the experiences I have been around, I'm one of the honest people that you will ever find. And the honesty that is within me, those who have been in my circle knows that. I'm an ethical person. In Namibian leadership, that is not wanted. You must not be ethical. You must be jumping to every cent that is put on the table in order for you to survive in politics in this country. So when you say wrong is wrong, then you become a victim. So nowadays, we have politics of friends. If I'm your friend, we start together a movement, and at the end of the day, we stick together as friends and we keep it to ourselves. It's self-enrichment politics that is being played in this country. Look at how hungry people were in November when they went to the polls. Who did you hear complaining that Parliament must start when they were locked down? None. Because these people are receiving their packs. They are comfortable. You understand? So you must learn one thing in this country. People are not educated. They are school dropouts, so they see politics as being the only door or hope or success that they have. So on that basis, they will try and start movements and pretend as if they are there to represent or help people. But in reality, they are lying. Go into these political leaders' profiles. Are they as genuine as they claim to be? Let me tell you, 93% of them won't succeed. And these are mostly the school dropouts. Most of these politicians are holding PhD degrees, but they never went to sit in classes. And then these are the type of role models that we are telling our children to become. People who do not have authority to even write 3 paragraphs. Because authority comes from education. And if you have educated a child, that person will become a good leader. Look at the African leaders, the Kwame Nkrumahs, them who came. They were highly educated people. It's only now that we see young people who are highly educated, who have seen interest in politics. And we have started that. We have planted the seed. But the problem with our Namibian people is when you plant a seed today, tomorrow they want the results. Rome was not built in a day. A seed that you have put in the ground today will not come out bear fruits tomorrow morning. It's time. And you only learn from what you have put in the ground when it starts bearing the fruits. Look at all the movements that I have been. Where are they? They are doing good. For it to do good, there are policies to be crafted. Who does those things? Who sleeps in the night and makes sure that a country has a constitution like Namibia? It's the founding fathers. And in law, we say the founding fathers are those who have crafted the policies, who have paved the way. It's not through a gun. No, a founding father is the one who makes sure that there's rules and regulations of which you have laid the house on.
Okay. But then, again, coming back to what I asked you initially, where does this now, for the future of Olsen Kahiriri politically, where do you see, where to from here?
I'm resting. You have seen me being rested, apolitical, not holding political portfolios. I'm at home. I've read books, and I continue to read books. I've joined into the business fraternity because I've worked in a lot of organizations. In Namibia, in England. I've stayed in England for 3 years. So I've worked in a lot of organizations. I've realized that the only person who understands and believes in Olsen Kahiriri is Olsen Kahiriri.
Okay.
The rest of the people are not straightforward. So that's why I started my own labor and sports legal consultancy, of which it's a baby that I'm working on, which is growing, and there's a lot of attention. of services that I'm delivering to my clients and things like that.
Okay.
So that's what I'm sticking to at this moment in time.
Okay. Now moving over to the footballing side of things. As a former, or maybe let me say as a union representative, would I be correct in saying that for footballers?
Yeah, I've been there.
You've been there.
I've been appointed as the Secretary General of Namibia Football Players Union.
Mm-hmm. But we'll get into that. Yeah, we'll get into that. What is your view now with regard to the standoff between the NFA and the NPL? Because players, footballers have not been able to play any active football and they've lost income and so forth. So what is your view based on that standoff?
You must understand, my brother, in this world, I've already explained to you the type of leadership we have. Our leaders think of their own egos. The African founding fathers were thinking of Africans to benefit. These leaders we have forget that they have people behind that they must lead. These people are so fast that tomorrow when they look behind, there won't be people that they are leading. Now, for all these 4 years I've been in football, the people are speaking of, we are doing this for the welfare of the players, we are doing this for the welfare of the players. They go and seek sponsors, we are doing this for the welfare of the players. For 4 years, holding players hostage. Is that the welfare of the players? At the beginning, it was because investors don't want to invest in a game. Investors has come. After investors has come into the game, your problems shifted now. It becomes ego. The money is there. Ego started kicking in. From there, it's fights. The rightful heir of the game is a player. Let me tell you, FIFA will never make money in this world without a soccer player kicking a ball. The product that FIFA sells is a player kicking a ball. And without that player kicking that ball, there's no FIFA, there's no football, there's nothing. Now, every revenue generated by FIFA, who benefits out of it? Is it the fans? Is it those that are running the FIFA? Or is it the members of FIFA? Or is it the members of the members of FIFA? Or is it the members of those that comes from FIFA? At the end of the day, the real aim of FIFA's existence is for a player to benefit. Now, for the past 14 years, I did not see that. But I've been informed FIFA has been pumping millions and millions of dollars in the NFA. Now, if FIFA has been pumping millions and millions of dollars in the NFA and the players have not benefited, who's benefiting? That is for the public to find out. And when you are trying to find that, ask yourself a question. Those people who claim to be running those institutions, are they there for the interest of the players? Now, mind you, and this is something that our people don't understand, NFA is a public body. And maybe I must explain what a public body is. A public body belongs to the public. And we who has children who are playing football must hold those in administration of football accountable. Now, when we try and hold them accountable, they give us names. We don't have a problem with being given names. But the problem is, how do they run the administration? This administration lacks a lot of structures. No legal structures. By the way, those people who are at the helm of football, did they ever study sports law? Did they ever study sports administration? Do they know what they are doing? The game has moved 100 years from where we are. We are 100 years backwards. What we hear, fights, directive, this. You give directives, but at the end of the day, your internal legal structures are not there. Now you want to run football in vacuum. How do I run Namibian Sun without an HR policy? Code of conduct. How if we disagree? Because you must understand one thing. FIFA is an organization that claims that issues that has to do with football must not go outside the scope of its own administration. So you must have legal structures that deals with disputes and issues. Because obviously, between a club and a player, there's a contract. There will be dispute. Between a club and the NPL, there will be disputes. Between the NPL and the NFA, which is the association, there will be dispute. Between NFA and FIFA, there will be disputes. And all those structures will have disputes. That's why FIFA have put legal structures within itself, within the requirement of the association members, to have these legal structures. The very same legal structures must be in the members of the NFA. Do we have them? Go and ask them. And ask who sits in all these structures. You will have ghost sittings there. So those are the problems. The problem is not the money. The problem is these people do not know what to do. My child yesterday asked me a question. Why are these people fighting every day? I said, because they don't have solutions to the problems that they fight themselves in. They don't know how to run the game. Because in the first instance, for you to have a Mercedes-Benz running, it was in someone's head. And that person crafted it into paper. And if after crafting it into paper, which is his plan or innovation, he put it into practice for that car to be mobile. But through the process, he has a lot of changes. Now, in our Namibian context is, we don't have a structure where we are going. So we run, we get against, we get stuck on against the wall, we leave that, we go and start something else. A person who go to NFA and NPL, ask them, when you come in the office as an employee, what is required from you on a day-to-day basis? These people do not have a plan on how they do their day-to-day activities. Go to F&B. Ask a clerk in F&B. Clerk in F&B would be able to tell you what is required from me and what should I do every morning. People at NFA or NPL are working on the instruction of the bosses. Now the bosses are nowhere there. Look at the NFA. The NFA has an acting secretary general. Look at the NPL. They have an active CEO, an acting CEO. Now, what does an actor do? Do you watch film?
Yes, but explain.
Those are people who pretend to do things. They are actors. Now, if you put actors into offices, you won't have standard things in the offices. So the people must stop having actors and have real people who should run the administration.
Okay. Now I want to I want to move along. Namibia Football Players Union. What happened there?
The Namibian Football Players Union is a very good organization. The way it was established, structured, it's relevant in the aspect of Namibian football. But the problem is the creators, none of them are trade unionists. They don't understand what is trade unionism. I've told you before the show started, this is a class war. It's them and us. It's either you are with them or you are not with them. And if you are with the working class, you must behave, act, and do things as working class. You cannot be a working class during the day and in the night you are a bourgeoisie. You can't be. Then your characters, you'll become a chameleon. You'll be changing every now and then. Now, have real trade unionists run a players' association representing the aspiration of the players, led by the players themselves, and those who believe that the organization is there for the genuine cause of the players. Let me tell you one thing. You cannot sit at the same dining table with the employer, then in the night go and tell your people that you are well represented. A happy employee, look, everybody works in this country, but trust me, a happy employee who believes that this trade union will represent me well is the one who would know that. If you go into a boardroom and that boardroom is closed, should be an employee who says, whoever went inside there through my representing me, I have 100% confidence in that person. He will bring the best out of me. Now, when you have people going into the boardroom locked up and they don't have your aspiration and desire, you are not an organization. Because you will do what the bourgeoisies want you to do. The elites will tell you that this is what we want, and we want to bring this person, even though he cannot do the work, to be running the organization, and we need your assistance. So trade unions issues are not political issues, especially into football. Their issues is to be neutral and try and find the best alternative to their members. The players' union has been in existence for almost, how many years? 11 years. What contract have they signed with the employers? All these 11 years, I've been there for almost 3 years. These were the fights that I had every day. But as much as you try and represent the vulnerable, the working class, those that are suffering, like me and you, you have created yourself a hole where they will bury you while you are there. Because you must understand that you must have the financial backing to be able to fight these animals. Because to me, these people are not human beings. Why would you want a fellow human being who survived from playing football to be in the street? I don't understand it. And yet you work somewhere. When you want to be fired, you go and say, I must either hire a lawyer or a trade union must come and represent me. But yet, in someone's employment setup, you don't want to. Because you undermine the person. And most importantly, these people already also know that the football players are not educated. So they will fall for the peanuts, the hot dog that is on the table. So these are the problems.
Okay. Now then there was also the issue of the High Court tussle between you and the union. What led to that?
You see, when I was working for the trade union, I was not receiving my salary on the specified dates. This has been going on for almost 2 years. Each and every month I will be paid after 3 or 4 or 5 months, which was not a problem to me. And then the last 6 months, I was owed by the trade union because people get involved into political instruments of the NFA. They sided with the wrong friends, the friends that are not there for the interest of the players, as I'm speaking. They have decided that I must not be paid my outstanding salary due. But the rest of the employees that were working under me got their dues. And my due was also budgeted to FIFPRO. If you go and look for the budget of debts that they sent to FIFPRO, there will be an amount that was dedicated to Olsen Kahiriri. But because of these political fights, people would never want to pay me my dues. So this is my salary of 6 months that imagine working for 6 months and you are not paid. But my issue is not when I will be paid or not, because I've been, this payment was due since 2018. So I waited. I'm a very patient person, because it's not all about the money. It's about what belongs to the person. You can't be a trade unionist or a trade union movement, yet you refuse to pay your own employees. It's illogic. It doesn't make business sense.
Okay.
And that for sure is 100% outstanding salary dues, as the awards have stipulated. You go and ask them why they would never want to pay an outstanding salary of an employee. But mark my words, there's another case of other issues that has nothing to do with outstanding salary, which has led to the relationship to end. That's another battlefield that is still ongoing in courts.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Kahiriri. That was Mr. Olsen Kahiriri joining us in studio. Thank you for tuning in.
Should you